If you're not Chinese, what are you doing? What are you contributing to society? The Chinese have done so much. They are simply better than you. And the most recent proof of that can be found in their mods for Kingdom Rush 1. Have you ever dreamed about using the towers from Frontiers in Kingdom Rush 1? What about the towers from Origins? Stuff like that was little more than playful daydreaming for someone like me. But somehow, modders in China have found a way to make it happen. You can see other people playing with it on YouTube. Channels like The Real Morgan and BattleMecha T200 have showcased the mod in action. Unfortunately, I haven't experienced this mod myself, at least not yet. But from what I have seen, something really interesting is in effect that I haven't seen anybody else mention. Battle mechas in this mod seem to have a chance to stun on their attacks, even though that's not innately part of the tower. The stun chance normally comes from the final artillery star upgrade in Frontiers, Shock and Awe. However, from my observations of gameplay, none of the other towers in this mod have any of their star upgrades. Frontiers barracks don't have passive health regeneration. Origins barracks don't have a chance to revive when slain. I haven't seen any double shots from Frontiers archers either. Basically, none of the star upgrades from Frontiers or Origins have carried over except for Shock and Awe. Instead, it seems like some Kingdom Rush 1 star upgrades are being applied to the Frontiers and Origins towers. And that has my imagination running wild. It's already got me excited thinking about the possibilities. But that's just it. These aren't merely possibilities thanks to the mod. They're reality. So I want to take you all down an impromptu session of Kingdom Rush science, where we talk about the effects of every star upgrade on all of the towers in Frontiers and Origins. Let's go in order from left to right, starting with the Archer tree. Right away, we have a lot of examples of upgrades that are better off skipping talking about. Better cell value, ignoring armor points, and increased range aren't that interesting. They're nothing relative to the implications of precision. This gives every archer attack a 10% chance to deal double damage. In Kingdom Rush 1, it doesn't apply to any archer abilities like Shrapnel Shot or a Sniper Shot, so it presumably doesn't work on Barrage or the Burst Arrow's explosion either. But it does presumably stack with the Golden Longbow's crit chance. Every normal attack and Hunter's Mark has a chance to be a crit, which deals double damage as true damage. This is basically the same effect as precision, but as true damage now. This effectively means that you have two separate chances to deal double damage, making it proc way more often. You also have the opportunity to deal quadruple damage when they both activate on the same attack. Now keep in mind that they don't have the extra damage from the Origin star upgrades, so Golden Longbows just deal 45 to 60 damage at long range. The crit chance is 6% plus a 10% chance for precision. So that's a 15.4% chance to deal 90 to 120 damage, and a 0.6% chance to deal 180 to 240 true damage. The low chance is pretty disappointing, but that's why this is still only scratching the surface of what's possible with these star upgrades. Remember that with the mods, you also have access to all of the abilities from towers. So you can get another stack of double damage if you have Hunter's Mark applied, which means that you can now deal 360 to 540 damage in one attack. Then you can get an extra 40% damage with Totem of Weakness, so the numbers can just keep on stacking up and up. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep teasing you with the potential of just how much better things can get, because the next star upgrade tree is the Barracks one. Now, Kingdom Rush 1 has arguably the best of the Barracks star upgrade trees, but that's only because of the Barracks units in that game. Spiked armor only works when units take damage, but when assassins dodge and bladesingers parry, they take 0 damage, making spiked armor ineffective. The other two barracks, Templars and Forest Keepers, are inferior blockers, so you don't get as much benefit from spiked armor anyways. But then, there's mages. The star upgrades for mages are arguably at their best in Frontiers, and the reason that's debatable is because of the first game. Arcane Shatter is actually way stronger on the mages in future games, because it damages armor by a flat 3 points with each attack. That means that fast attacking towers like the Necromancer and Wild Magus will shred armor to nothing in a flash. It also makes the High Elven Mage potentially way stronger because of all of its projectiles. You can start shredding the armor of up to 5 enemies at a time with Arcane Sentinels active. But the armor reduction is only the second best thing these towers get, Slow Curse is even more broken, and that's for 3 significant reasons. The first is that the slow amount is 50%, which is already pretty good on its own. The second is that the slow lasts for half a second by default, and 1 full second for Arcane Wizards. This is insane thanks to the third reason, which is that Frontiers and Origins mages have many more projectiles per second. Like I just said about the High Elven Mage, you can slow up to 5 enemies at a time with all of its projectiles. Both the Necromancer and Wild Magus can permanently slow an enemy if they keep attacking it. And imagine just how strong Pestilence would be if it could benefit from star upgrades. A 50% slow for everything in its range, plus 3 armor damage per tick of the poison. That would make it one of the strongest abilities available in the mod. Finally, there's Artillery. I have sung the praises of smart targeting before, and I'll do it again. This is a contender for the strongest star upgrade in the series, guaranteeing that all explosive damage deals max damage across its entire AoE is such a massive boost to the damage output. It speaks for itself when you see how much it buffs Shrapnel Shot, turning the Musketeers from one of the lamest towers to the tower with the best DPS in the game, despite the ability also having AoE. So it may be shocking to hear that smart targeting doesn't change a lot for the artillery from Frontiers. For one, the Dwarf doesn't use proximity-based damage, meaning that it doesn't have the type of attack that smart targeting can buff, so it's unaffected. Secondly, the Battle Mecha is hardly affected. The damage of explosive area attacks is based on a percentage. The closer to the center that the enemy damaged is, the closer to the maximum damage value that they take. Therefore, when at the very edge of the AoE, they take the minimum damage that's available from the attack. Battle Mechas have a pretty small AoE for their attacks, so when they land a direct hit on an enemy, they're already going to get pretty close to their max damage anyways. It's the enemies around the explosion that get less damage, but since most enemies would simply be out of reach entirely due to the small AoE, the benefit from smart targeting may feel lesser. That's just speculation though. Smart targeting alone is still better than anything from Frontiers or Origins trees, and I imagine that, depending on the formations enemies take, it will still make a massive difference for the Battle Mecha's attacks. Another huge difference comes from field logistics and industrialization. 10% cheaper artillery saves about 100 gold on the first 4 tiers. Then, field logistics saves you 25% on all the tier 4 upgrades. Since artillery upgrades are some of the most expensive in the series, you save a ton of gold on this. A maxed Dwarp costs 26.65 in Frontiers. In Kingdom Rush 1, a maxed Dwarp should only cost 21.58. That's over 500 gold saved, which is a little more than an entire gold bag that you could use from the Gnome Shop. Notice that I use the word should. That's because, from my observations, not all of these star upgrades actually apply. For example, the Battle Mecha doesn't seem to be discounted, but the Dwarf is. So it's possible for these star upgrades to work in an update to the mod, but as of right now, they don't. I really would like to see this stuff happen though. Even though the main appeal of the mod is using heroes and towers that you otherwise never could, the little details that made the base games fun in the first place are what I appreciate the most. Let me know if you would like to hear an analysis like this for Frontiers and Origins as well. As far as I know, only Kingdom Rush 1 has a mod like this, but it's fun to imagine how cool the other 2 games would be with all of the towers in them. If there was anything about these explanations that didn't make sense, I encourage you to check out the Kingdom Rush Science playlist. It should have answers to all of the questions you may have, and if it doesn't, it will.